Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and it's been a relatively quiet day for Celtic related news. I mean, when you consider how frantic this week has been thus far with the GSP stuff, the manager's comments and everything else, yeah, today seems a little bit more chilled. However, we do have some updates to give you, some in relation to Simpson-Pusey and his arrival to Celtic. The timeline has kind of emerged on that. A wee bit of an update on Breum and other things. And of course there was that story about Idah and the interest in Italy. So let's catch up on all of that just now. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. It would be much appreciated. We return to the G4 Claim Studio tonight for the first edition of the Celtic the Thunder podcast this season. So look for that on the channel tomorrow, and get over to the Twitter account and get your questions in for the lads as me, Kieran and Dylan sit down for the first time all summer. Yes. Aside from that, let's do today's video. We've got Champions League news to go over as well, so it's actually quite packed despite it being what feels like a quiet day. I'm going to get fed up of saying this boy's name by the end of the week. However, Simpson-Pusey is set to become a Celtic player. We all know that by now after stories emerged yesterday that Celtic had won the race to get his signature in this transfer window. It's only a loan move, a season-long loan with no option or obligation to buy come the end of it. But still, he will be a Celtic player, and we have a little bit of details surrounding the timeline of when he will be a Celtic player. So Mark Hendry, who originally broke the interest in Simpson-Pusey on Friday night, wrote this headline earlier today that Simpson-Pusey's Celtic signing timeline has come through after a breakthrough, and in his story he says that Celtic's move for Man City defender Simpson-Pusey is edging ever closer, and Celts Are Here can now exclusively reveal the key timeline in the deal's final stages. So shout out to Mark Hendry and Celts Are Here, who have been pretty on the ball with this one since it emerged on Sunday night, and it's probably the quickest a deal has been done all transfer window, all things considered. So they went on to say in the article that Celts Are Here can confirm that Simpson-Pusey is scheduled to undergo his Celtic medical on Friday, which is tomorrow. If all goes according to plan, the England Youth International could officially be unveiled shortly after, with the club potentially parading him in front of fans during Sunday's Flag Day celebrations. At the moment in time, there is no certainty over the terms of the deal. Conventional wisdom suggests there will be no buyout clause next summer, but we await that confirmation. So Simpson-Pusey will sign his Celtic contract hopefully tomorrow if all things go well with the medical, but we know that medical is booked for some point tomorrow. Hey, we could have the graphics in 24 hours time for all we know. It just depends how the process goes, and there is that slight chance he could be involved with the Celtic squad come Sunday. If I was to give it an educated guess, I would suggest that Simpson-Pusey won't be involved in Sunday's game, and we might just see him unveiled at half-time at Celtic Park. The reason for that being that a game like St Mirren at home isn't one that we're screaming out for centre-half coverage. And I mean that with all due respect to St Mirren, of course, who came to Celtic Park and got a point on the last game of the season. But I think that we'll be fine, we'll suffice with Cameron Carter-Vickers and Liam Scales, or Cameron Carter-Vickers and Austin Trusty for the game this weekend, and they probably won't want to rush him into the fold. But listen, if he can make the bench and he's up for being there and he's up for maybe making a cameo of sorts this weekend, then who knows, maybe we will see him. But I'd imagine the manager would like some time to bed him into the team, to get him into training, to get to know his teammates. If he only arrives tomorrow, doesn't sign for the club till tomorrow evening or something like that, then there's no training sessions left before St Mirren for him to get in and to get familiar. And it's not like we're needing a hero or anything like that. This isn't like when Scott Sinclair stepped into the fold after signing for Celtic hours before his debut. No, we'll be just fine. So we should have news on this tomorrow. It's all happened very, very quickly. If you want all my opinions on the player, if you want all my assessments of the player, then check out the last few videos. But it looks as though he should be a Celtic player very, very soon. And somebody who won't be a Celtic player very, very soon looks to be Jakob Breum. Now, that might not come as a surprise after Celtic's negotiation styles in relation to Jakob Breum, but details have emerged as to why Celtic might be lowballing, and also why Go Ahead Eagles are holding out for as big a fee as possible. Because it seems like, number one, there is a sell-on clause which would take away a significant amount of money from the club, and also a release clause that could be triggered for as low as $2.5 million next season. So reports started circulating in Holland last night that Jakob Breum's situation is a bit of a headache for a number of reasons. Now, this was the words of a Dutch publication, Soccer News Netherlands, who said that that Go Ahead Eagles is offering a take it or leave it price for Jakob Breum, which stands at a whopping €6 million, so around £5 million, and they will not settle for anything less. So first of all, the club are saying £5 million, take it or leave it, we're not going any less than that. And this is probably the reason why, because Soccer News also said that the factor at play for this is because they have to pay 25% of the final proceeds to the previous club where they signed him from, Odense in Denmark. So there you go. 25% of the money brought in for Jakob Breum will automatically leave Go Ahead Eagles, and that maybe suggests the reason why they aren't entertaining £2.5 or £3 million. To lose up to a quarter of the money you make on a very talented player is a sore one. It is the deal they've agreed with Odense, and they need to adhere to that, but that's why Celtic are probably being laughed at with the offers they're suggesting. However, maybe we've found the reason why Celtic are lowballing, because also in this same article, it is suggested that in the summer of 2026, Jakob Breum could be available for a fraction of that £5 million price tag, because reportedly he will have a release clause of something between €2.5 to €3 million. And now it's maybe emerged that because Celtic have caught wind of this, they're saying we're not paying £5 million. We'll offer this now, you take it or leave it, and we'll see what happens in a year's time. Go Ahead Eagles look stubborn. They look set on what they want, and Celtic look stubborn in the sense they don't want to give any more than they've offered. I feel like this is just going to kind of wither away into nothing over the coming days unless Celtic have a change of heart, or Go Ahead Eagles have a change of heart and there's some form of compromise. But it's clear that Celtic don't want to overpay when they know he's available for cheaper in a year's time, and it's clear that Go Ahead Eagles want to try and make every penny possible. I still think the way that Celtic have handled this has been slightly embarrassing, and I know that some people will be quick to defend the board for noticing this potential release clause and not selling ourselves out for more money, but at the end of the day, if you really want a player, you should be getting closer to the fee they want. It's just assuming that Go Ahead Eagles are going to be fine with coming down to the price tag he'll be worth next year. I think that we should still be going out and offering more if we really want the player. But it just doesn't seem like it's going to go that way. However, these are the details that have emerged, and maybe paints a bit of a clearer image for those who were confused. And talking about confusion, one headline that confused Celtic fans last night were ones like these, which touted Adam Idah with a move to Italy, because a report in Italy suggested that Adam Idah was a potential option for Udinese as they were exploring a move for the Celtic striker. It was a report that came from a page called Tutto Udinese, who of course report on the club Udinese, and said that he was one of a number of options who were being explored as a potential replacement for Lorenzo Luca, who has just moved to Napoli. And that got Celtic fans talking, is this a way to recoup the money that we lost? Is this a quick way to get rid of him? Is this something we should seriously consider? Well, it was put to bed very quickly, and as I said on a member stream last night, before this news broke, it was probably something not to waste your breath about. Because shortly after these headlines were circulating, Mark Hendry was quick to confirm on Twitter that Adam Idah is going nowhere amid the Udinese link. It's understood that Celtic and Idah both see this as a big season ahead for the Irish striker. So Adam Idah going nowhere despite these reports. I'm happy to hear that. You know me, I'm a huge Idah fan. I'm not going to hide it. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I think this is a big year for him. I'm very confident of the season that Adam Idah could have. And it's a big season for him in terms of it's go big or go home, it feels. And I want to see him given that chance. 20 goals last season from limited minutes. Listen, I'm glad he's not going. I wouldn't have liked us to entertain it anyway. I don't think there would have been enough value on the table to even consider it, to be quite honest. But it doesn't matter. Don't start moaning about it, because, there was nothing truly there anyway. So he's staying, and I'm happy to hear that. And finally, Celtic have got an idea of who they will play in the qualifying round of the Champions League. Of course, Celtic will play in the playoff round, which is the final step before Champions League qualification. And the picture has become a little bit clearer of who Celtic could play. So courtesy of Everything Celtic, who laid it out quite nicely, Celtic will face one of the following clubs in our playoff tie. It includes Sturm Graz of Austria, Basel, and then it's down to games that are still to be decided. So Karabag or Shkindija of Macedonia, Dynamo Kiev or Pavos, and then Slovan Bratislava or Kairat Almaty. So that is the teams that Celtic could face. Pretty favourable games for Celtic, considering we are the seeded team and these are unseeded sides. I'm not expecting them to be easy, but we are the favourites. So we'll see who that is. The draw takes place on Monday. So if you want to see a live reaction to that draw, let me know and we can maybe sort one of them out. But Monday we'll find out who we play in that playoff round, and we'll get a better picture of how difficult it will be to qualify for the Champions League. Right, that does it for today. If you have enjoyed, please let me know in the comments below. Let me know all your thoughts as well. Until next time, and until the podcast airs, it's been a pleasure. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you there.